Hello, folks. Greetings. Um, I'm just going to restart my video series. I've been very quite busy with work and other stuff, but um, a lot of my friends have asked, "Hey, where are your videos?" And some of them were interested in portraits, so that's why I'm just going to jump uh, to a different kind of painting portraits. Right now. In the beginning itself, I can tell you that you got to be a little bit more patient when you're painting portraits. I'm going to, I'm trying to compress a lot of classes that I learned from into smaller sessions, right? And I'm going to simplify a lot of stuff, but it's still going to take some practice. So be patient, just follow the steps and ask me questions if you have questions, and I think you'll get there, right? So right now I'm showing you a screen in Sketchbook where my canvas, if you see my canvas, the canvas has some grid lines. Okay, I actually pre-prepared these grid lines. See this layer, if I hide it, there's no grid lines. What I did is usually um, your canvas is, I think it's 2000 by 1000 pixels. um, I hope that that's what it is. let me let me take up something and see. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me take the scale. Yeah, I think it's, let's see. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of 2000 by, and I gotta go all the way up. Yeah, so let's see. It's 2000 by 1600. Okay. Yeah, so what I did is I actually used the scale tool. I uh, uh, went through widths, that is 200 pixels, equal widths of 200 pixels, and I actually created this grid. Okay, I created a layer, added a layer, and in the layer I actually created this grid. Why do I need this grid? You will understand, because it portraits, the most important thing is whatever you're painting has to be very accurate, right? So the easiest way to do that is create a layer with grid in it, right? Okay, so how do you go about painting portraits, right? I mean, you ultimately you do want to get to a situation where you can actually ask a model sit before you and start painting portraits, right? But that's going to take a lot of time and practice. But before you can do any of those things, the best way to practice is to get digital pictures. The way I did it is I start taking digital pictures of my friends, um, family members, people like that, and then I will try to paint that. And the nice thing about digital pictures is that your color selection and your lighting and all those things becomes quite easy, because the picture is already in a digital format, right? And that I'll show you that it's going to help. Um, and what I did is I asked all my friends, my family members, "Hey, can I paint your picture in YouTube?" And they all said no. Okay, so I went to Adobe stock pictures. I took a portrait of a girl, and that's what I'm going to paint and show it to you how to do it. Okay, so that there's no copyright issues and stuff like that, or privacy issues, but for that matter. Um, The other thing that you should see is that when you're painting portraits, it's going to take hours. Okay, so get into a comfortable spot. You should have proper lighting and everything else, and you should be ready to take a lot of breaks in between because it's going to be quite a bit of time. It's going to take quite a bit of time to do this, right? The other thing I like is that look at the way I organize my screen. I have my uh, the layers window. I have my color editor, and I have my brushes. This is how I'm comfortable to do it because once you're organized, you can do the stuff, right? Now, the picture that I want to paint is I got it from, I have it in my desktop. It's a stock portrait of this girl, right? Why did I choose this girl? Well, painting ladies is a little bit different from painting men. I'll tell you why. Is because if you're painting a lady, you better paint it correctly, okay, accurately. Otherwise, they are not going to like it, right? Number one. And then the number two thing is, yeah, it's better to paint a lady than a guy, right? I mean, so that's why I chose this picture. The other reason I chose this picture is this picture comparatively is quite simple. I see that there's a little bit of lighting on the left side. So there's light on the left side. There's a little bit of darker shade on the right side. And this lady doesn't have a lot of skin tone, right? There's a little bit, there are like 4 or 5 colors I can see. So I took a simpler one for this, right? And usually what you do is this is, I'm using my Mac, I'm using preview. So this is the picture, but to start with, don't try to paint a picture really large, right? Just make it smaller. Of course, a lot of details will be missing. One thing I'll tell you, right? When you're painting a portrait, you're painting it. You're not taking a photograph of it. Okay, there's going to be a lot of inaccuracies, but people won't notice that or they won't mind it because it's a painting, right? So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to select all from my preview, and I'm actually going to copy this picture, and I'm going back to my sketchbook and I'm going to paste it and then reduce it the size smaller. Yeah, something like that. And I'm going to put her somewhere here. Let me make it a little bigger. Yeah, something like that. Okay, I'm actually putting copying the picture and pasting that picture in my painting. Why is that? I'll show you why, right? I'll tell you why. Uh, this is the easiest way to do it. Now, uh, sometimes when I'm using my Mac and when I'm using two screens, I can actually have this grid, the picture with the grid in another screen, and I can look at that screen and paint it, right? Right here, uh, for the sake of this video, I have only one screen, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm actually pasting the picture in the painting itself. Otherwise, you can put the picture in another screen and you can watch it all the time because you need to watch it in order to paint it, right? But I'm going to do it right in the screen. Okay, and I can make it a little bit. I'm just going to align it to the grid um, as much as possible. Okay, good. So I pasted this picture here, and the idea is I'm going to paint. Let me make it straight. I'm going to paint the same picture in this side as I look at the picture. That's the idea, right? Then the other thing I'm going to do is I want to put the grid layer on top of the picture. You see that? Okay. Um, so this is the easiest system. We call it as the grid system of painting. This is the easiest way to paint any picture. Um, why is it easy? It's because I divided my picture into small squares or grids, right? And there are portions of this picture in the grid. That kind of helps you paint stuff in proper proportion, right? In fact, after a lot of painting, when you actually look at something physical, you'll still have some sort of a grid system going in your head, in your brain. Initially, this is how you will be painting. After some time, you don't need the grid because you will know that, oh, it's sort of in this grid, in this position, right? But until that happens, the best way to paint portraits, especially portraits, because they need to be accurate, right? Put them behind a grid. And in this case, I am in the painting itself, I put it, but you can put it outside in another screen, anywhere, right? But always have the grid in place. Even if you have physical picture, you can always have a little plastic, transparent paper on that, put the grid and put it on the picture, right? So that you can see the grid. Okay, so once you have that, it's now quite easy to paint. And I'll demonstrate how, okay? But before we do that, the other thing is that, I mean, you can first do the sketching and then do the painting. That's possible. But if you're in a hurry, then I will also teach you a few tricks to do this quickly, right? Um, so first part of your job is to actually put things in proportion. Doesn't have to be, the eyes doesn't have to look the way the eyes look in this lady's picture, right? It doesn't. The lips doesn't have to look the same, but the proportions has to be right. Okay. So if you see that the picture is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grid spaces, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 by 5. Same thing. You have a square here with 5 by 5, right? So now, so what color should I do to do the sketching? Doesn't matter what color you use because you are going to change it anyway. I would just use the lady's picture itself and take something um, dark, right? Something, and how do I get that colorist? So this color editor as the color chooser, right? So you select that and go to the picture. Let me see. I need to bring back the color editor. It's not letting me select. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, use some thin brush, something like the ballpoint pen or the pencil is fine. Okay. For some reason, my color selection is not working. Sometimes it happens. Let me select this. There you go. Okay. So you see that little uh, icon that changes. So just choose something dark. In this case, I think I'm going to choose something brown. Okay. For now, that color is good. Okay. So now, what do I draw? It's very simple. You look at the grid, right? So here is the first grid. There's nothing in there. The second grid, you have something, right? And again, it starts. So you're looking at just the grid. That's the point, right? You're not looking at the whole head. Okay, so this grid, I have some sort of a hair that curves, that goes like that, and it stops there. Okay. That's where I see the air, and then in here there's a little something like that going on. Okay, so I did that. Then here you will see that the air kind of dips a little bit and then goes up, and it kind of dips down there. Okay, and then the hair goes maybe a little bit like that. Okay. um, then this one, it goes, if you see, it goes all the way there. This one is almost in the border, it goes up there, and this one even goes beyond that grid, right? Something like that. Then when it comes to the shoulder, I see things going this way. You see that? I looked at the grid and I'm just shaping up the thing. The head is already, I got the head a little bit, right? Then let's see. There's some hair here, and then there's a little bit of. So let's see the hair. So the face starts kind of here, and then I see that kind of tapers there. And I can see that it goes like that a little bit, like that a little bit, and which grid I'm in that grid. Okay, so now it goes up that way a little bit, then it kind of bends this way a little bit until this corner, and the hair goes this way a little bit. Okay, and then this side, let's see, I have the head going there a little bit, and then little bit of that area, and then a little bit more of that area, and it kind of goes there. And okay, so that gives me the shape, right? And then let's see, right here, I have the hair going a little bit thin there like that, and I see the hair going this way a little bit here. And at some point, I just want to show you the process, and then after that, I will pause the video, and then you can continue and I can continue on my own. But right now, I just want to show you. Yeah. Okay. And I see sometimes it's okay to, put some stuff here so that you know that the hair is kind of bending there, right? Okay, so that kind of gets you the shape of the head. And now let's go to the eyes. And if you see the eyes, for example, the eyebrows is in the second grid. It starts from the second grid almost to the bottom, right? And the major part of the eye is in the second grid, and then it comes to this third one, right? Okay, so let's do that. Uh, at this point, as I told you, don't really worry about is the shape being right. Just look at it and try to be a little accurate, but doesn't have to be really accurate, right? And then the other eye goes on like that until there and almost hits the hair, right? The eyebrow. Okay. Then let's think about the eyes. The eyes almost starts here, touches very lightly, touches uh, the the grid, comes down a little bit like that, and then I can round it up like that. Okay, okay, I got the eyes. This eye, the other eye, the same thing. It kind of hardly touches that grid, goes down there. The major part of the eye is this side, and then okay. Okay, and then if you see in this case, and by the way, I'm going to teach you how to paint eyes, nose, and lips, and the head itself in other videos, right? But right now you are just doing whatever you're seeing in the grid. That's the point of this painting right now. Okay, and some hairs here, and then if you look at the eyeball, it kind of starts from there and it hardly touches this grid, right? Okay, so same thing here, it's almost here and kind of touches the, okay, okay, so I painted the eyeball. Right now you're really focusing on proportions and position, so don't worry if it is not accurate, it doesn't look the way you wanted, don't worry about it. Okay, right now it doesn't matter. Okay, okay, and then for the nose you see that there's a little sharp shade kind of thing that comes down here. Okay, and you see that there is this little nose spot that comes that way, and you're kind of doing that. Same thing here, and this side is a little lighter. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Lips, you see that down this grid there is almost touching the grid. The lips goes up, and you are a little bit dipping down, yeah, like that, something like that. Okay, and almost on the grid the lip kind of closes. Okay, now let's think about the face itself, right? So the face kind of here, it goes little, it kind of middles down a little bit here, and then sharply kind of turns this way, and you see, let's see, I can rub this part a little bit. The important thing is, I should have created a separate layer, but it's okay. The picture is also here, right? That's fine. And then it comes down here and it kind of straightens up here. Okay. And then let's look at the neck. Neck kind of goes straight a little bit like that. and the hair hides it. Here again, there is something like that. The hair hides it. Okay. And she has this little kind of dimple here. You see that? That's on the grid. So put that in and put that other thing in. There's a little bit of ears there. Put that something like that. Okay. Um, okay. Does the lady look kind of like that? Almost there, right? You have the head shape. You have the lips. You have the shape of the face that's come almost there, and then the hair. Okay. Now, if I go and take the grid off, you see how well you painted already. So sometimes my friends, they get surprised when I say, oh, how can you paint this so fast? Well, that's because of the grid. If you have the grid, you can paint this very, very fast, right? um, Now, of course, the next part of it, the next step. So I got the outline, right? I got the eyes, the nose, the lips, the face, and the hair. That's all you have in a portrait. Okay. Now, so right now, the portrait may not look very much like that the person who you're painting, but you know what? You got your proportions right. Okay. Maybe a little bit of adjustment you got to do. At this point in time, the next thing that you need to think about, and this is a very simple picture, and so it's not that bad, right? What you need to think about is there's something where things are in 3D, right? You are actually seeing things in 2D now, and this lady's picture, because of the picture, it's almost 2D, but there's a lot of 3D elements here, right? Definitely the nose is a three-dimensional object. Okay, the lips has some protrusion. So these kind of things, how are you going to present that in a real painting? It's always about a dark shade and a light shade, right? So usually what you do is you choose, and the other thing you need to think about is this is a picture, right? It may have millions of colors, but you got to think about some basic 5 or 6 colors that you got to use. I mean, the one important color is the eye, correct? So you select the color of the eye. Let me hide this thing. Okay, color of the eye. And as soon as you have that color, just put that in your color palette. The way you put it is you just drag it, okay? Then she has some dark hair. Close it, open it. So take the dark color and put that in. Almost looks like the same. Okay. And this is the lighter part of her face. So take that and try to take the darker part of her face, that one. Take that. Then the lips, the darker part of it. Take that. And then the slightly reddish part of it. Take that. And then the hair, the lighter part of the hair. So you're actually selecting all these colors, and I need to close it, open it again. Yeah, so I got that. And the one other thing I would like to take is she also has little bit, that is, it's not too light, not too dark. There's a middle color of the air. Okay, so I started with eyes, then the dark shade of her hair, the lighter part of her skin, darker part of her skin, the darker part of the lips, the lighter part of the lips, the lightest part of the air, and then the middle side of the air. Okay, so I chose all these colors already, and your next step is really speaking, kind of shade the colors um, based on the same grid system, right? So I have a little bit of darker color here in the hair, right? So I'm putting that. Don't put the full shade, but half a shade is okay. Then I know that the eyes are going to be really, really dark. Then her eyebrows are also kind of the same. Okay, just at this point in time, you're just marking them, right? Okay, and then she at the darker part of her. So let's start with this, the lighter part of her face. Okay, and if you see in the edge, there's a darker part, which is really that one. That's the edges. Okay, and let's see her lips. There is a darkest part of her lips. Then there is a lighter, the reddish part of it. And then there is the lighter reddish part of it. Okay. Okay, and then the hair, that we got two shades. The lightest part, sometimes it's here. She has very light hair here. And there is the middle part, which is not that light, but not also very dark. Some of them are here. I'll switch back to the darker part. Here she has a little bit of dark hair. Here, a little bit of darkness. Then it goes back to light part here. Okay, and I will use the dark part of her thing in her, near the throat a little bit, like that. And I think her nose has a little bit of stuff here, little bit of darkness. And the darker side of the nose is like that. And then she has a very light part of the nose this side. Okay, So why am I doing this? I'm doing this so that once I place these colors in place, I can see my picture is shaping up a little bit better, right? Um, and the picture is slowly getting to a point where, yeah, it looks like her a little bit, right? A little bit, it looks like her. Okay, and let's put the lighter shade here. I'll choose the um, in between shade here, and kind of the lighter shade here. Well, I need to choose the lighter shade here. Okay, and the darker part of it to denote the temples. Okay, now let's let's take the grid off. See, the thing is that I know that there's a lot of work we need to do on the eyes. There's a lot of work that we need to do on the lips. There's a lot of work on the nose. But the face and the proportion and the hair now it's in place, and then in color you actually see that the picture is getting better, right? Now, so I still have to have the grill. And what the next step is the detailing part, where what you all you need to do is, and how do I do the detailing part? So it's all about this guy, the zoom in. Okay, so you are zooming in. So zoom in your picture and put these guys out of the way, right? And when you zoom in, you will see that there's a lot of little details that you need to add, for example, on the eyes, right? Um, and you start detailing that out. But before you detail that out, you kind of need to learn a little bit about the shapes of these, or you need to study a little bit about the shapes of uh, these uh, these items in the human body. Okay, human face basically. How do I paint a three-dimensional nose? How do I paint the eye socket with the eyes in a three-dimensional fashion? How do I do the lips in a three-dimensional fashion? So those usually we have, like, I went through classes on each one of those small things, right? And I was thinking that maybe I need to give you all a smaller lesson on those, then come back and make this painting real, right? Um, so for example, I'll give one small example and finish the video here, because it's a lot of stuff. So for example, if you see these eyes here, right? So you see that there is a shady part of this eye, right? And by the way, I need to correct the eye now. So you can drop it off a little bit, okay? And try to come up with the shape of the eye that is as good as hers, right? That's the idea. And let me go back to my ballpoint pen. And it looks like eyes. And by the way, there are like only four or five kinds of eyes, really speaking. Okay, um, and they all have a specific shape. And in her case, it looks more like a fish kind of eye. So and so you just try to come up with that shape and rub off. So the nice thing about digital painting and digital drawings is you can always, rub it off, right? And, and let me take the darker part. Okay, and so in this case, even look at the details. So if you keep zooming in, you will see that the eye has a lot of details. I mean, you can see that much, right? Now, usually what I do is, if I have a portrait where I need to, so usually what I do is I put background, and then the picture is only small part of the whole thing, right? In that case, I don't care about all that accuracy. Okay. But if you're making a big portrait of just the face, then those things are also important, right? And the nice thing is, yeah, so if you want to become more and more accurate, you just use the color chooser to choose that particular color and make the painting better, right? Um, with this, what I'm going to do is, so here's my thing. What you all need to do, whoever is following this up, if you are just watching this video and thinking that you can paint, you can't. Okay, so download Sketchbook or download whatever the digital software you have, create a layer, create a grid, go find a stock picture, right? Put that in the side and do your own experiment. Start painting. Okay, and what I will do is that I will do a little bit more detailing of whatever is here, and I'll come back to the next class. But in the next class, what I really want to show you is that how do you create three-dimensional parts of the face. Okay, there's a little logic behind it, there's some technique behind it. I'm going to teach you all the technique, and if you apply the technique, the eyes and the nose and the lips are going to be much similar to the lady here. Okay, that's my point, right? But this is a good introduction, I would say. Go ahead and start using this grid system, start making your sketches. If you want to impress your family, take the family's picture and paint it. Do what I did here and show it to them. They will be impressed, I'm telling you, right? But this is the basic idea of how do you create a portrait. Now, is does this same thing apply for a painting that you do in the regular canvas? Most of the concepts still apply, right? Except that you got to be quite careful doing this in regular canvas, and then obviously there's a lot more you need to learn about the color selection, because in this case I just use the pictures color selection. Right now there are techniques where, even though the picture isn't in one, for example, let's say that this one is a little bit more well exposed picture, right, and you want to have a darker shade, you can, right? So for example, if you want to paint the lady with a darker shade, guess what, preserve the same what do you call uh, hue, but change the saturation a little bit, and you'll get a darker shade. But then in proportion, so for example, the dark parts, that also in proportion it should become a little bit more darker. If you do that, then things change. I've also, the other technique is, okay, this lady, the lighting is this side, right? What if you want the lighting on the other side? Okay, let's say that you want to put the guess what, you can do that. All you need to do is take the darker side, put it on the other side of the face, right? Use the other side of the face and paint the darker side. So there's all this little technique that you need to that's already documented in the art world, right, in the painting world. But then you will also find your own style and your own little trick, because remember that since our hands are very unique, we will find our own little trick to make our painting beautiful, and that's what gives you satisfaction, because your painting is your own style, right? So explore more, paint more. There are within your community, whatever, WhatsApp, Facebook, all these places, there are groups where group of artists get together and they exchange ideas. Join those groups, share your picture and say that, hey, this is what I painted yesterday, right? If you do all those things, your painting skills are going to improve. With that, I thank you very much for your time, and post any questions in under the YouTube comments if you have questions. Thank you very much.